Welcome to the Screaming Blackbird podcast. In this show, we will talk with military officers and professional leaders to explore Air Force careers and engage in leadership dialogue. The Screaming Blackbird podcast is created by the cadets at Air Force ROTC, Detachment 605 at North Carolina A&T State University. The contents of this show are for educational and entertainment purposes only. They do not contain any official information nor opinions of Air Force ROTC or North Carolina A&T State University.
Appreciate you guys. See ya. See ya.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Screaming Blackbirds podcast at Det 605 Air Force ROTC. My name is Cadet Third Class Camden Allen, and I'm here with my host,
Cadet Third Class Lindsey.
And we have two very special guests on with us today. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Awesome. Glad to be here. My name is Christen Johnson, Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Johnson. I'm from Durham, North Carolina. I am a student here at North Carolina A&T, majoring in electronics technology, senior, and I'm ready to graduate and commission, get to flying.
Sweet. Awesome. Bruce Davis III, Cadet Colonel Davis III, ATF Cadet Commander here. I'm a senior computer graphics technology student with a concentration in user experience design. Also a pilot select, if you probably couldn't tell. And then
we can tell.
Yeah, likewise, ready to graduate and commission, man, upcoming May. So that's
very nice and correct. Congratulations to you both for getting this far in the program. Before we hop into our discussion on rated slots in the Air Force rated positions, we're going to go into a ROTC this or that very quickly. First up, would you rather have PT at 0500 or 1700?
Ooh.
I think I'm going to have to go with 0500.
0500.
Knocking it out in the morning, then it's done, and you can handle the rest of your day.
You don't want to do 1700? Like, I feel like...
No, that's time to wrap it up, you know?
That's prime hours of the day.
Yeah.
Everything happens at 1700 in the day.
That's like prime heat.
Oh, you guys are all 0500?
I'm definitely 0500.
Okay,
Yes.
that's going to be a less popular option. Okay.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay, moving on. Would you guys rather do cadre mentorship or GLPs during lead lab?
I think both are necessary. I mean, in an ideal world, you have both in your lead lab, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a GLP in itself trying to fit in the hour for cadre mentorship into that schedule and those kind of.
The GLP is scheduling all that stuff for lead lab, but no, yeah, GLPs are fun and the value you get out of cadre mentorship is awesome. Yeah. So yeah.
That's great. Would you rather have open rank inspections or take your PFA?
I'm probably gonna have to go with the PFA.
Really?
That might be the unpopular opinion, but it's exercise. I mean, it takes 30 minutes and then it's done.
Yeah.
ORIs, you're standing there at attention for who knows how long until you get it right. So yeah, I'd rather just embrace that suck for the 30 minutes.
And ORI can be so much quicker if you just do it efficiently, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you do it efficiently.
I don't know, because when we had RIs at lead lab, at least for the 200s, we were holding our hands up for about 5 minutes, waiting for that write-up.
In that prime heat.
Yes.
Proper preparation will eliminate that, though.
That's
so.
very
there
true.
you go.
That's very true. Well, let's jump right into it. What got you interested in ROTC? Why are you in this program? What's your motivation?
Yeah, so for me, I was pretty set on flying for most of my life. And I knew I wanted to serve. So my original plan was going to a service academy, the Air Force Academy. I looked into the Citadel, but I ended up going on a visit to the Citadel and realized that 5-day-a-week military life wasn't for me. I wanted to go to a normal college, so applied to a few different schools, got into A&T, and the rest is history.
Sweet, yeah. I mean, I honestly, out of high school, I wanted to enlist. But kind of based on the recommendations of some family members who also served, my father and my grandfather who served in the Navy and Army respectively, I decided to apply to college. So North Carolina A&T was my number one. I came here on a full ride studying civil engineering, and so originally didn't want to fly at all, but I joined ROTC in the spring of my freshman year as an AS-150 by now Lieutenant AG's kind of guidance and mentorship. So I kind of came down this path through, like I said, through that mentorship, finding and discovering Air Force ROTC, talking to the cadre who were here at the time, talking to current cadets, and then I realized I did want to fly, so had a great opportunity here.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. So I know you're talking about your realization for flying. Did you guys always want to fly like when you were a little kid? Were you flying when you were younger before you got to the program? How did that come about?
No, I didn't. Like I said, coming here studying civil engineering, I was set on either going to civil engineering or architectural engineering and getting my master's in after that. But I had an opportunity that spring when I joined to do the You Can Fly. Had that opportunity granted by Colonel Whistler. And so that was an awesome opportunity. Getting those flight hours initially off the bat made me realize kind of how beautiful this is, like how amazing of a career path this will be. And so I kind of put my all into that afterwards, trying to see what steps do I need to take further to make this my career path in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I've told this story a million times, but I've wanted to fly forever. When I was like a little kid, toddler, my grandmother would take me to our local airport, and we would watch planes for hours, and I was hooked since then. So middle school, high school, I joined a program called Civil Air Patrol, which is obviously military, but I joined it to fly. I got a few hours through Civil Air Patrol, and then as Bruce mentioned, I got that You Can Fly scholarship from Colonel Whistler when I got here. I was able to rack up some more hours, and yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
What was like the first initial feeling getting behind a plane, being the one controlling it, flying it? What was the initial thought process? Like, how did you feel like actually being up in the sky, flying a plane?
Dude, my flight instructor was mean.
Really?
he was like, what are you doing? Like, he was a bigger guy, so he was just sitting there just critiquing everything I was doing. But I ended up still having a blast. It was a high wing, so I was able to see outside, like the window, and see just the view. So when we were actually up in the air, 4,000 feet high, it was just gorgeous. I realized how much it is that you have to focus on with the instruments, of course, and that comes with it, and how much of the time you're not actually spending looking outside. But then, eventually at some point during the flight, I said, you have flight controls. He took over flight controls, and I was just looking outside, just gawking at everything.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, pretty much the same experience. First time I flew, I was 14, and the flight instructor I had was a little nicer, it sounds like. But it was awesome. He let me control the plane for almost the entire trip, and it was so surreal, like being up there and seeing all the same things you see every day, but from that height, and they're super tiny, and the views are just amazing. It never gets old. Every time I go up, that view always gets me.
No, that's completely understandable. I do some flying myself, and
Yeah.
I love looking out the window, just taking it all in. I always get videos every time I fly. So.
Being humble about it over there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So rated positions. It's to my knowledge that there's a couple different rated slots. What are some opportunities in the rated world?
Yeah. So the rated position covers a broad range of AFSCs, of jobs. And so obviously you have the flying careers: pilot, combat system officer, or CISO, which is the backseater in fighter jets, ABM, air battle manager, and then we have our medical stuff, so your aerospace
Aerospace phys. And
aerospace phys.
Which, and then RPA as well.
RPA as well, yep. Remote pilot.
Aircraft.
So yeah, you have those flying positions, and then you have medical, and so yeah, rated covers a broad field, but obviously flying is the coolest part of that.
I completely agree. That's the career path I want to go down as well. So
Yes, sir.
keep my eye on
All
that.
are necessary.
Position.
Joint fight. All are necessary.
So how did you guys prepare for your rated position? I know first you have to get an EA, and then you have to go for the rated board. What kind of preparation did you do? What kind of tests did you have to go through? How many hours were you putting in studying? Can you just walk me through that whole process between your sophomore and junior year, 200, 300 year?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think the kind of first step is finding a good mentor. You're not going to be able to figure out and outline all the steps by yourself. You can, but it's not advised, right? You can definitely go on Reddit and find a lot of this information, but having somebody who you can actually talk to and come up with like those questions when you're in a specific situation is probably the best step. And so I had now Lieutenant McMahon, who he was kind of my mentor for all things rated wise, and he guided me on how to prep. I guess he didn't give me specific tips for the TBAS, but he told me like the TBAS is coming up, just be ready for that mentally. AFOQT, I knew I needed to study for that, and so I had one of those AFOQT prep books and made sure to just get a general understanding of pitch roll yaw, things that are basic like aviation kind of knowledge, right? Things like that. And then just controlling what you can control, because your OM is what's going to be ultimately really important as well. So like your GPA, your PFA score, controlling what you can control, putting your best foot forward every time you show up to PMT, and even when you're not in PMT. So you have good commanders ranking, things like those things.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much hit the nail on the head. But yeah, for me personally, I worked with now Lieutenant Willis. He helped me through a lot of that. Took the AFOQT, knocked the pilot section out. Not too much studying for the pilot section specifically. Like he said, just basic aviation stuff. That knowledge that I've gained through actually flying, and the TBAS same thing. Just going through it, studying, looking up the resources that are available to you, and knocking that out. If you have that goal in mind, those are small barriers for you. Yeah.
And shout out to both of them, Lieutenant Magmahan and Willis, both NJEP selects now.
Sir, congratulations to them. They're doing great
Yes,
things.
yes.
Yep.
As we all know, college is very rigorous. It takes a lot of studying. How did you guys balance ROTC and regular year academics?
Yeah, I mean, for me, a big thing was setting up my priorities, right? So you have, like you said, a bunch of stuff to worry about, ROTC, your school, extracurricular activities, but you have to set up a list for your life, for your career, and say, this is my top priority. And for me, that was school. If you don't graduate college, if you don't get that degree, I'm not going to commission. I'm not going to go and fly for the Air Force. So my grades were that top priority. And then working on my ROTC work, those tests, AFOQT, TBAS, and knocking those out. I think the biggest takeaway I had was planning, writing down literally everything. I would do these things called brain dumps where I would sit down and literally just write everything that I was thinking, and it wasn't super organized, but then I can look at it and I can pick out, this is what I need to work on, I can do this later, stuff like that, and just putting time aside in the day, because I mean, we have so much more time than we tell ourselves. Like there's 24 hours in the day, and you can do so much with that, so yeah.
Likewise, I'm a very kind of analog person, so I write down a lot of things as well. The amount of notebooks I've filled just for ROTC in these 4 years or 3.5 years is, you wouldn't believe it. So making sure I write those things down. Also working with the people who know like the things, who have that important information. My advisor is kind of someone who I stepped into his office a lot to make sure I was on track with my degree and everything. Making sure, once again, your priorities are straight. Having good mentors. Having it all written down. I had my little to-do lists and calendars, right, that I would just always jot down at the beginning of each week, trying to figure out what assignments are due, what does it do for ROTC, and then also knowing with that how to delegate when you're in a leadership position. It can be kind of stressful if you're kind of managing this all on yourself, but having a good support system or support network of people around you, I believe strongly that iron sharpens iron, but if you trust those around you, I feel like you can accomplish anything.
100%.
Very interesting. And I heard you mention leadership. I know it's a big part of ROTC. So what are some ways that you got involved between your 100, 150 year for you and your 200 year to kind of set yourself apart so you can put yourself in the best position to earn that EA and that rated position in commission?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I knew that I did want to stick out from the jump, and so I came into the program, and I put my head down, and all the expectations that I was given, I did my best to excel in those. I was picked for the GMC Advocate, so the General Military Course Advocate. So I basically was the liaison from my underclassmen peers to the upperclassmen, working out issues, and that was a great opportunity for me. I was able to really get to know all of my peers, step outside of my shell. I'm not a naturally extroverted person, and so that was a great opportunity. I was able to step outside that shell, get to know them, and then work with the upperclassmen as well and build that relationship with them. And so GMCA, and then other leadership positions that were kind of just given to me, like flight commander, squadron commander, things like that. and not just taking those positions and meeting the expectation, but going above and beyond, right? Thinking, how can I improve? How can I improve training for my peers? How can I just make this process better? And I think your actions more than anything is going to make you stand out in this program.
Yeah. GMCA has a big role, so I feel like he's definitely underselling himself on how much visibility he got from that. I had some kind of more of like the back end roles as a GMC. I was infrastructure officer for a little bit, so making sure that the gates were open and the lights were on for PT in the morning, and small things like that. And so they all ultimately play a role into the bigger picture, but it gave me an understanding of how the back end operations work. So when I eventually was director of logistics and I knew what needed to be done, I was able to delegate that task off and make sure to alleviate some of the things I had to do. Otherwise, I'm a strong advocate that ROTC shouldn't be the only thing that you're doing. Of course, like Johnson mentioned, or Christen, you mentioned earlier, is priorities, setting those straight and setting those early. But I tried to be involved in other things outside of this on campus. A lot of community service was my main focus. My freshman year, I was the community service chair for the National Council of Negro Women chapter here. And so it was a great opportunity, which led me into running for positions in SGA, the student government here, and just being involved in more ways than just leadership here, because this is a great opportunity and great environment to practice your leadership skills. But if you're involved in other organizations, you'll have even more opportunities to practice those leadership, like those leadership skills.
Yeah.
And so just developing those skills in other ways will make you a very multifaceted leader and very, I guess, a common term, multi-capable airman. So.
Yeah.
No,
That's great.
I 100% agree. And I think it's important that cadets or anyone that's thinking about joining ROTC knows that you don't have to be the top leader, the top dog every time to, get your name out there, or for people to recognize you. If you're working behind the scenes and putting in the work, that's also a great opportunity. So.
Yes. It sounds like you are both very well-rounded students and cadets. And one thing that this program has taught me is that pressure does build diamonds. And Mr. Speaky taught me that. And I know sometimes it could be a lot of pressure. It can produce stress. So what are some things you guys did to alleviate some of that stress?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I still, that's still a struggle to this day. Just managing stress. I think you got to have people to rely on. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm saying the same message over and over again, but having people who you can just talk to about what you're going through and what's on your plate is always going to be good. Instead of keeping it all up here, talking through those steps with somebody and saying, okay, I have to do this, and this is my steps to get that done. This is my objective for this next week, and I'm going to accomplish that by doing this, this, and this. Setting kind of something I worked on my summer internship this past summer. I worked with the Navy. It was kind of a joint warfighter program, and we learned about having goals, objectives, and strategies. And so your goals are going to be measurable, and so those things that you want to accomplish by like a long term at the end of the year. Your objectives are going to be not measurable, and then your strategy is going to be how you accomplish those objectives. And so kind of setting those for things I have going on in the coming months, weeks, and years, I guess.
Yeah, that's really good. For me, there's a few things, but my main thing would be having a foundation, right? Bruce mentioned friends, people you can rely on. For me, it's my faith. That's something that I can go back to, whatever's coming my way, right? Like ROTC, school, all this different stuff, I can come back to my faith, and I'm secure in that. But for, a big realization for me is that all these pressures that you're going to experience as a college student, and even more as you go into active duty or whatever career you have, is that they're not going to go away, right?
Right.
There's nothing you can do. No sitting around. No amount of sitting around is going to make these issues go away. So getting into that mindset that this is what it is, and how can I knock these things out efficiently as possible. And you're not going to get that right the first try, but that's something that I've been working on, and I'll continue to work on throughout active duty and the rest of my life, is that work ethic, leaning on those people around you. Really, for me, my first thought is not to go to other people, right? I'm an individual, right? And so I've had to get out of that mindset because you're not going to succeed on your own. You have to have people who you can rely on and who can help you through the different things that you're going through. And like you mentioned, like verbalizing those things, brain dumping, getting all that stuff out, that's going to take that weight off your shoulders, and you'll be able to work and do whatever you have to do so much better.
As GMC, how do you guys feel like you've managed stress up until this point in your ROTC career?
For me, I would say the sense of relief when I complete an objective or a task is kind of like how I manage that stress. I like to get all my stuff done early in the week. I plan out my schedule. I make sure I mark stuff on my calendar so I know what's going on throughout the week. And when it's all done, when I come to Friday, I can just relax, play video games with my friends, go bowling, things like that. So that's the best part of being in college. I have a lot of freedom. So.
Well, similar to what you both have said, I'm going to start with my faith. I'm very strong in my faith, so that's something I can always fall back on. Sometimes I meditate and just try to soak in everything, understand where I'm at academically, in the program, see where my strengths, my weaknesses, what can I do to get better, and trying to have a self-reflection and say, hey, this is how I'm going to move forward this next following week. And then I'm also a mechanical engineering major, so that's
rocking
also, yes, that's also a lot. So just staying on top of stuff. I'm more so of a person that if I don't see it, it's probably not going to get done. So just like the two of you, if I have to write it down, I have to write it down. And also going back on the people, falling back on people from back home. My mom, my friends. Cadet Allen here, he's one of my best friends. So if something's stressing me out, I'm like, hey, I need like a second opinion or whatever. So I think that's similar to what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very interesting. Yeah. All right, so going back to the flight aspect, I know you guys both did the You Can Fly scholarship. Can you talk a little bit more about that and some other opportunities that you can earn some flight hours throughout ROTC?
Yeah, absolutely. So my freshman year, I'm pretty sure it was my spring semester, Colonel Whistler, our previous detachment commander, brought up that he had this opportunity for me to get a scholarship to go and get some flight hours, and I was like, that's awesome. I love flying. So I told him I was interested in it. He put me up for it, and I ended up getting it. And I rocked it. I mean, I loved flying. That was a awesome opportunity. I'm so grateful that I was able to receive that. But yeah, I got that initial scholarship, and then through continued work and interest in flying, I was able to receive a little more money going forward. But this man right here got a You Can Certify, which I'll let him talk about that, but that's way better than what I got.
So yeah, Lieutenant Colonel Barry, he ended up issuing me You Can Certify, which is an extension of the You Can Fly scholarship. And it's $20,000 to go and essentially, get more flight hours. So I ended up getting roughly 45 more hours through the You Can Certify to wrap up my PPL. And so definitely a great opportunity. If you have something like that presented to you, like jump on it. But otherwise, there's a lot of opportunities even outside of ROTC. Like I'm currently a college member of the Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals, OBAP.
Me as well.
Awesome. So in looking into their opportunities that they provide is definitely something I would highly recommend. They have things like their Ascension program or scholarships towards students' PPL or some flight hours just to get you in the cockpit, get you acquainted. Because I definitely think that having that experience or being behind the real cockpit is going to help you with your AFOQT prep, help you with your TBAS down the road. Having an actual sense of what you're looking at and what you're looking for with the instruments is really going to take you far.
It's also going to give you a clear outlook on what you want to do. Once you get behind that yoke, you're going to know whether or not you want to fly in the future.
Right.
And so I think it's a great opportunity for especially freshmen who are coming and they want to fly and they can get that opportunity to figure out, do I really want to fly? Or like me, they get in the cockpit and see that view and they're like, I'm hooked. So, yeah.
I mean, because we've had like cadets here who receive You Can Fly, and they said, you know what? I have altitude sickness. I actually
don't want to do this.
This is great for somebody else. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, motion sickness is a big thing that kind of like propels people away from flying.
Yeah.
But for any JROTC cadets, listening, there also is the Air Force Flight Academy program, which is something I was a part of, and they take you from 0 hours to 40 in your PPL in one summer, about 8 weeks. So it's similar to the You Can Fly Scholarship, but just a little bit earlier. So if there's any JROTC cadets listening, I would encourage you to look into that.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about flight hours. So for those who don't know exactly what that is, can you just go more in depth of what that is?
Yeah, so I mean, flight hours is pretty self-explanatory. It's the amount of hours that you get airborne in an aircraft. And so that timer starts when you take off and it ends when you land. But those are pretty important. We have the pilot candidate selection method, PICSM, and flight hours is a decent portion of that. I'm pretty sure it maxes out at 60 currently.
Yeah, they just increased from 40 to 60.
Yeah, just increased from 40 to 60. So the amount of flight hours goes into the score that you were put up for, and that's how you compete with other cadets nationwide. And so, yeah, I mean, flight hours aren't cheap, but like we mentioned before, there are so many good opportunities for you to get in the cockpit and get those flight hours so that you can pursue that career in aviation.
Now, how do you log those flight hours?
So you'll have an actual physical flight book or flight log. And so after each flight with your CFI, your flight instructor, certified flight instructor, they're going to sign off on what you did for that day, how many landings and takeoffs you did for that day, what you practiced, if it's trim control, if it's, had a bank, if it's, just actual remaining in the pattern and calls. So they're going to write down what you did that day and the hours that you logged once you actually landed back and you shut the plane off and everything. They'll sign off on that, and you're going to just total up your hours in that flight log.
Yeah, that's interesting. And speaking to what Cadet Johnson was saying, flight hours are definitely not cheap, but it's about like $255 an hour.
Yeah.
So just make sure you're just looking for scholarships
Definitely
if you're
seek
interested.
those opportunities.
Yes.
Yeah.
250 on the low end, yes.
Yeah.
So now let's fast forward to that lead lab when they were announcing the AFSCs. Take us through those moments before, when everybody was giving you the drum roll. How did you guys feel, and how did you feel after when you found out you earned that pilot slot?
Awesome. So for me, I knew it was the lead lab that they were going to release our AFSCs, and so I was so nervous. I barely slept the night before. I still had to train. I was the field training preparation director of operations last semester, so I was in charge of training those sophomores, and so I still had to do my lesson plan. I still had to train them after we got our jobs released, and so I had to focus on that. But I was also super nervous about the release, and they decided to release mine towards the end of everyone, so I was literally at the top of the auditorium just pacing back and forth like,
He knew what he was going to do.
When is it going to be my turn? But I got called down, and they gave me the whole drum roll, and I had my back turned to the screen, and they revealed it, and the auditorium went insane, and I was like, I know I got pilot. And so that was such a relief, and it was amazing. I kept it together while I was in front of everyone, but afterward I had some emotions, and it was really revealed to me how much support that I've had along the way, whether it's been from my family, my friends, that I have that village who's behind me and who's gotten me this far and will continue to support me as I go active duty and commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You said, honestly, I slept like a baby the night before. And that's not because I didn't know, I wasn't sure, but I was also, in that top 10, you're going to do a survey for your top 10 AFSCs. I was fairly comfortable with getting on any
Those
of them.
options.
Pilot, of course, was the number one. If you're trying strong contendant, or I guess you're trying to go for pilot, put pilot number one. But I was fine with those following. I'd say 2 through 7, right? I was like, if we got to 8, I was like, okay. But but I think the night before, I called my mom and I told her, I think they're dropping the AFSCs tomorrow. And then after they did drop them, I called my mom again, and I was like, I got pilot. So, but likewise, like, it showed me the kind of support network I had already established when I sent the news to my family, when I sent the news to some of my LBs.
Yeah.
Like, it was just it was amazing just to hear and just to see. I was confident that, I'd taken the right steps to as a leader in the program, and to control what I can control in the program, control my GPA, control my PFA, how much I ran outside of just PT, being a leader and stepping up when I'm here. So I'm not just doing that just to do that, but to actually hone in on my leadership skills, and so that no matter what AFSC I did get, I'd be a leader in that position. And so I think it paid off in that moment. I think in that video, I probably didn't even turn around. Like, I heard the uproar, and I was just like, yes, all right. I think I'm good. But it's just a lot of culmination of emotions, right?
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Did you guys put down any other rated options, or was it just strictly pilot for you guys?
I put down CISO. CISO was up there, like top 5 maybe.
Okay.
But that was the only other rated I put down.
Yeah, same. I think I put CISO as well, and I think I might have put ABM. But to be honest, I couldn't tell you what I put after that.
You're locked in on that pilot.
I
I definitely understand. So I know you guys have another year after before you commission and become a pilot. So what kind of steps are you taking right now to get to that pilot license? What things are you doing in the program? How are you involved in that aspect?
Yeah. So for me, now my focus is on. We knocked out. Me and Bruce went to our IFC, our flight physical, before the start of semester, and that was kind of a big hump. We knocked that out and got medically qualified, and so now my focus is finishing out school, taking these last few classes and getting my degree, and then really my future. Like, I know that once I commission, it's going to get real, and so a big thing for me has been my finances, different investments that I want to make, getting my budgets in order. We haven't had our base drop, so we don't know where we'll be located yet, but that's part of it. I'm really future orientated right now, getting into that career.
He hit the nail on the head. That's pretty much it. Because as far as flight training, like, it's not one of those things where you find out when you can get there. You want to prepare prior to going to UPT, because how your performance is there depends on your track going forward. What airframe or what aircraft you drop. So it's been some preparation and making sure I still stay sharp in my aviation skills and my aviation knowledge. But it's largely been my 5 to 10 year plan, making sure that's updated, making sure my finances are good, so that when I commission, I need to go ahead and move all my items from my house. I'll be good to go. And just a lot of like reaching out to the family and telling them about my goals, and making sure those people who I know who are currently in the military, or those who are active duty, my mentors from previous years, contacting them, making sure or seeing if they have any advice. So
I think he brought something up, that communication with the family is super big. Like, they want to know what's going on, and obviously there's a lot that goes on in the military that they won't understand, but having that communication with them so that they can continue to support you, and like I mentioned, having that village is super important. And then the past year, the amount of connections that I've been able to make, like, not just with my peers, but also connections in the military, like financial advisors, it's been outstanding. Like, it's really those people, those connections that you reach out to and get. That's really going to help you. That's gonna take you a long way.
Yeah, I completely understand. I know right now, it's been a kind of a struggle, stay in contact with, not really a struggle. I still contact my family, but, I just got that freedom, I just got out of high school, but I've been out of high school for about 1 or 2 years now. So I'm just like enjoying life. But, at the end of the day, I got to make sure, I stay connected with my family, because those are the ones that's going to be there for me whenever things go wrong.
Yeah.
And right. So that's a very good point you guys bring up.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Networking is everything.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely gets you a lot. It gets it gets you through a lot and it gets you a lot. I can say that one thing I have learned is go seek every opportunity, go to those career fairs, go to whatever event the school is having. And I know family is a lot too. I'm a big family person.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely get that. So just a little fun question about how many flight hours do y'all have?
Secret. I can't.
Too many to count.
Classified information.
classified.
Not as many as that guy over there. I'll tell you what.
He has all the licenses.
I only have 2. But I'm working on my 3rd. I'm just, trying to build my civilian
Yeah,
experience.
he's basically there already.
So,
But I mean, to really actually answer the question, I was, like we said, the Pixum score, it had a cap previously of 40 hours. So I was working my best to get up to that right before the pilot board closed. So I got to, right before it closed, I got to 39 hours, 39.4. So,
Yep.
but that was all right. Still ended up, look, with the slot, now I have around 46.
That's great.
Yeah. So for me, I got about 20 with my You Can Fly scholarship, and I was sitting there, and I knew the next cap was 25, and so I talked to my family. I'm they're a huge blessing to me, right? My mom used her networking skills to raise some money for me and allowed me to get a few more hours. So I got to that next bracket. So I'm pretty sure I'm sitting at 26 right now, 26 and a half.
That's
Very
great. That's
nice.
great.
now, your path through the Air Force, what happens after you commission? What kind of training do you have to go through, and what kind of airframes are you guys looking at flying?
So for me, obviously we're both going to UPT. They just introduced a new aspect of UPT called IPT, which is initial pilot training. It's about 6 months long, and we go to a different location, depends on your base and everything. But you'll get your private pilot's license, your instrument license, and then your multi-engine license. And so we'll go through that program, and then we'll head to UPT and go our undergraduate pilot training, and we'll go through those phases. But yeah.
What airframe?
Oh, airframe. Yes. Yeah. That's
What
the
type
most-
of mission? That's the most important thing.
That's the most important
Missed
thing.
the most important part.
Originally coming into the program, I was settled on heavies. I wanted to fly the C-17 and do that mission. But as I've gone through the program, talking with various mentors, friends, I've pushed towards fighters. I want to fly F-16s or 22s, and fly that fighter mission. That would be awesome.
My long-term goals are to go into test pilot school. So I think the best avenue would be fighters. Same airframe, similar airframes to that. But I'm also not opposed. I think when most people ask me this, my most common answer is the Buff, the B-52. And so that's something kind of just favorite airframe, and I think it would also set me up after test pilot school if I wanted to go into a kind of aerospace industry maybe. But I'm also I just want to fly, man.
Yeah.
What about you, Cadet Allen?
Oh, me, I'm definitely looking at the heavies. C-17 is
Yeah.
probably my go-to.
Yeah.
I just think I'm not really a fighter guy. Being
Yeah.
cramped up.
Yeah.
I'm 6'2", 6'3". I like to say 6'3".
All right.
I don't want to be cramped up in a fighter, so
Yeah.
I think the C-17 heavies is what I'm looking at.
I think
for
I'm
sure.
perfect fighter pilot height.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. We're both perfect size for that cockpit.
So yeah, solo. So you guys have to fly solo for a fighter. Are you guys, that's something you're comfortable with? Have you had solo hours before, or is that something you're looking forward to?
This big man right here.
Yeah, so I did do my solo cross country right before the summer, and then I did my, what was it? No, I didn't do solo night flight, but I did solo cross country. It was a very interesting experience, mapping out those landmarks and those checkpoints, dead reckoning and piloting like that. I don't know, it was interesting. I was definitely nervous. My first time soloing, just takeoff and landing, my legs turned to noodles. I was just,
Wow.
oh my gosh. I was I'm really in this plane flying this by myself.
It's a lot of pressure.
And you realize once you do it, how much maybe the rudder inputs maybe your CFI was doing, or how
They definitely
That
help me
right
out.
rudder,
That
that
right rudder, yes. They
Yeah, that
definitely
right
help me
rudder.
out.
How much he was actually helping me, I didn't, it didn't like until I was actually coming down the lane. I was like, oh, he was helping me a lot. Okay, but great. You know, the landings ended up being, I won't say like phenomenal, but they were all right.
You made it
so-
safely. That's all that matters.
Hey, I'm here. I'm here talking to you guys. So
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't done my solo yet, but I feel like in the flight hours that I've had, I think the experience and the training that I'll get at UPT will set me up for that. I think the biggest thing y'all can both agree in flying is really that experience. Like there's so much to focus on, so much going on that it's not something that you can really just come in and figure out. It's getting those repetitions and that experience. So yeah.
So I heard you mention night flights.
Yeah.
How was that like? Were you nervous or?
dude, it's so dark you can barely see the runway. Like I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I was trying to navigate for my night cross country, and so that wasn't a solo. I still had my flight instructor with me, but I was just like, I know we picked out these landmarks or these checkpoints. I don't know what I'm looking at though. Like
Right.
you know, you're really relying on like, am I at the right? Am I at the like going at the right speed? I guess in my own time and. I don't know. It wasn't like scary or anything because I knew like no matter what, it's hard to crash a plane, guys. It's actually
It is very hard.
It's very hard.
No matter what the news says, it is very hard.
No
to
matter
crash
what
a
the news, hey,
it is very hard to crash a plane.
the plane doesn't want you to crash it. I promise you.
Wow. So I did not know that. I was one of those people who just thought that two planes are coming at the same time.
And
It
that's
can
what
crash, but I
ATC
guess
is
not.
for. You got to make sure you're on your radios. I think that's one of the parts that took me a little bit to get pick up radio and comms. And so my flight instructor, we worked with that a lot. Just there's also like an app you can listen to yourself like speaking on the ATC afterwards.
The live ATC.
Yeah, live
Yeah.
ATC. And so I was just hearing my calls, and I was like, "Oh, that's what I sound like." He was like, "Yeah, do better next time." So I was like, "Okay." But night flight, it wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah. I did a few night flights with my CFI, and like you said, I wasn't doing it solo, so that's one aspect of it. It was a little nerve wracking, but I knew I had my CFI with me, and just relying on those instruments and the few landmarks that you can see. Yeah, you'll do fine. You'll be all right.
Yeah, in my experience is just stay on that magenta line, and honestly, I like night flying. It's a lot calmer. I feel like there's not as much turbulence. You can really just take in like the skyline, the lights. So I definitely enjoy night flying a lot. So, so leadership. What is one leadership skill that you'll take from your experience at ROTC and that will translate into your active duty career?
One leadership skill. Okay, just to pick one, I'd say it's between, I guess, delegation and adaptability, and they kind of go hand in hand. Like because for me, I had to adapt to make sure I'm delegating and not focusing on making sure all the work was done by myself. I think previously, before entering into the POC, I was a micromanager, admittedly. Like I'd heard this from, I guess, some of my peers, and so that's something I definitely wanted to address, and I definitely think while it shouldn't be like a laissez-faire, like hands-off, completely leadership approach, you should be able to trust your people. You should be able to give them enough guidance and enough of your expectations to accomplish whatever mission, objective, goal you've set for them successfully. And if they don't, be able to pivot and be able to give them the feedback properly. So that adaptability for me was adapting my leadership style, adapting in moments where you talked about the pressure earlier. In this program, there's a lot of times where there was pressure, and especially in GMC, during those 2 years, if Lieutenant Willis now, he was our DO for FTP, if he gave us a time hack, if he gave us something we needed to correct in our DCID, and we, instead of looking around and standing stuck, you have to just sit and think critically, react, make sure your people are good, and make sure you're in a good mental space to also react for your, like that's a big lesson in leadership that I learned.
Yeah, that's a great one. Delegation is super important, and I think that takes people a little bit to figure out, so I definitely agree with that. But for me, I would say just the importance of relationships. I think I really enjoy getting to know people like one-on-one, like getting to know how many flight hours you have, like what licenses that you've acquired so far. But this really was important for me last semester when I was training the sophomores. I think I set my expectations right off the bat, and I was firm, and they knew that when we came to Lead Lab that I was Cadet Major Johnson. That was my position, and that there was a bit of respect that came with that. But after training, after those PMT hours, I made sure to really get to know my cadets, right? And that goes so far. Like if you are able to sit down with these people and get to know them, you're no longer that micromanagey boss, like that they have to listen to. Like you are more of a person, and they see you as an individual, and they are willing to work for you and willing to knock out those expectations, and that makes life so much easier. I mean, as a pilot, we're going to have not necessarily people that we're in charge of, but we're going to have a team, right? Like our maintenance team, force support, getting us set up, and their jobs are so critical to our mission. And so me going to my jet and just going straight to it and getting done what I need to get done, and ignoring the fact that these folks are working crazy hours to help me out, that's going to set you up for failure, right? So yeah, really getting to know your team, really getting to know the people that are around you. I think that's a great baseline, and it'll take you so far.
Okay, to wrap it up, what is one piece of advice you would give to a GMC cadet who is aspiring to be a pilot?
For me, the biggest thing was not to become complacent. My mindset coming into the program was that I was going to have maybe one or two goals or barriers that I had to reach, and then I'm there, right? And that's not the case. Throughout ROTC, throughout life, you should always be pursuing excellence. And so the super easy thing to do when you get into this program is do that work your freshman year and excel, and then cruise. Don't do that, right? People will pass you. They will, because they will continue to grow. And so, yeah, just always be looking for that way that you can improve yourself, that you can grow yourself and help your peers. Like, this is not something that you're going through on your own. So looking out for them as well, helping them succeed, that's gonna bring you fulfillment in itself. And so, yeah, don't become complacent.
Sweet. I would say two things. Like, I would say, I touched on it before, but be a leader in more ways than one. Like, do not, obviously ROTC and your academics are a priority and should be a priority if you want to succeed and graduate and you want to commission eventually. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. Try to be a multifaceted leader in other organizations, other programs around campus, as I mentioned before. Find leadership roles where you can build your leadership skills in those roles outside. So when you come here to ROTC, you already have those skills developed. And so that's being in e-boards on other organizations. That's getting out in your community and doing things outside of whatever of the 13 crosstown universities that have that, whatever organization you're a part of in your community, doing something like that. And then also, I would recommend a book. A great book I read was The 5 Exemplary Practices of Leadership, or of Great Leaders, I believe it was. So that's by Barry Posner. But it touches on these 5 practices that all great leaders should exemplify, and goes into like historical evidence and studies on showing like all these leaders across history who demonstrate these, and it's challenging the process, encouraging the heart, modeling the way, inspiring a shared vision, and then the last one is escaping me. But I feel like the most important for that of all is probably for GMC is being able to challenge the process, right? Noticing the things that you want to change and fix about the detachment while you're at GMC, and being able to challenge that process when you get to that position to change it. Also modeling the way, practice what you preach. And so that's simply like just putting your foot forward, and don't be the kind of person who's dishing out all these kind of things for people to do, but you're not practicing what you preach. You're not taking that initiative to do the same thing that you're telling people to do.
Yeah.
So model the way, putting yourself out there. But definitely read that book and be a leader in more ways than one. So.
Thank you for that advice, and we've seen you guys be great leaders in the detachment between our 100, 200 years. So, and it certainly was a pleasure that we had you guys join us today on the podcast, and we wish you the best of luck in your rest of your 400 year. We'll be here for that, obviously, but and your active duty career as well. And I hope all the listeners, anybody that's interested in a rated position, learned a lot today. And remember,
Det 605 swish.
Blackbirds never miss.